Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week? In an article written on koimoy.com, we learned that One Direction was one of the biggest names in the music industry until they fell apart. And even now, they have millions of fans who are eagerly waiting for the members to have a reunion. The boys were a global sensation a few years back, and all of them are doing well as individual artists now after calling it quits as a band in 2016. In a recent conversation, Liam Payne brought up the who was the foundation of One Direction debate, and pop star Lizzo doesn't seem to agree. Liam Payne appeared as a guest on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, and claimed that he was the foundation of One Direction, saying, quote, "From what I've heard, part of the reason One Direction was made was because of Simon's promise to me," explaining how he has never said this out loud before. He went on to further state that, so he was kind enough to start with my face and work around with the rest. Now, coming back to how Lizzo got involved in the whole debate, all of it started when the About Damn Time singer was reacting and commenting on a series of current affairs. According to People magazine, speaking about Liam Payne's take on One Direction, she said, quote, "I don't know who lied to that poor boy, but he was not the front man." So, Daquon, I want to ask you, do you agree with the shade Lizzo threw at Liam?
I can't because to pull from the iconic Tiffany Pollard, somebody lied to him several times and told him that he was the front man of One Direction, and he is nothing like that. He is nothing of the sort. Because what is this? What are you actually saying? Anybody who was a fan of One Direction knows that Liam was not the front man at all. At all. Even if you think about like the most popular people from One Direction, you think of people like Harry Styles or Zayn Malik, because those were the people that like had the fans in a chokehold. I'm sure Liam had, his little fan club that made every
not his little.
Wednesday at
You get that
9
little
p.m.
job. You get that little job.
A little something, something. But to say that this entire group, this entire boy band was centered around him, it's ridiculous to think about. And I think that it's one of those things where, sometimes people just need to stir up something to remain relevant. I mean, I'm not going to say that Liam Payne is the most irrelevant member of One Direction, but, Zayn had his solo career and he broke out first. Harry Styles is Harry Styles. He's everywhere. And even some of the other members like Niall wrote so much for One Direction. Like, he was one of the songwriting core. So it's like, what do you do successfully? Quickly.
Daquon! Oh my God! Baby, you got your reading glasses on today. You got your not some people have to stir up controversy to remain relevant. But I don't know. I think that this is a classic case of arrogance plus audacity. And Liam apparently has which said
caucasity.
The caucasity of it. And he has plenty of it to spare. Like, he thought he really served the children with this comment, as if people couldn't do one Google search and completely discredit the entirety of what he said. Like, now this is no shade, but
no, throw the shade. Throw the shade. Throw the shade.
Right. But like, I'm not gonna lie, Daquon. When I saw him cross my timeline in this interview, in the famous words of Miss Keke Palmer, I hate to say it, I hope it doesn't sound ridiculous, I don't know who this man is. It's like I was never like a fan of One Direction growing up, but you know, because of how big boy bands were back in the day, you recognize a few faces and names here and there. Like the
Right.
only members I knew from One Direction were Zayn, Harry Styles, and Tomlin, I think. A Thomas or something, I don't know.
Thomason.
But I had to, you know, Google the group to find out who Liam was and how he came to the conclusion that the group was made around him. And Daquon, do you want to know what I found when I Googled who was the lead vocalist of One Direction? According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it was Harry Styles. So, but what really gets me about this is the fact that he was like, I've never said this out loud, but I was the reason One Direction was started. I was the foundation. And essentially what he was trying to say, whether it was intentional or not, was that he was the reason the other group members had a chance at stardom, which in my opinion reveals a lot about Liam's character. Now, obviously, I don't know him personally or any of the members of One Direction, but even if, for argument's sake, Daquon, he was the reason why the group was formed, right? It actually makes people take a closer look at his career trajectory in comparison to his other group members. So let me adjust my glasses. For example, in their solo careers, Liam is currently sitting with 24 award nominations and 6 award wins. Okay, not bad.
Okay.
Zayn Malik is currently sitting with 38 nominations and 16 award wins. Okay, also interesting. And Harry Styles is currently sitting with 121 award nominations and over
You could have stopped
40...
there.
And listen, bitch, over 43 wins, one of which includes a Grammy for Best Solo Performance for Watermelon Sugar. Or that net worth-wise, Liam is sitting at 70 million. Zayn is sitting at 75. And Harry Styles is sitting at a cool 100 million. So with that being said, Liam, I think that this was a comment that you should have kept to yourself, because I don't think that you want people comparing your star power to the other members of your former band. But moving on, you can't let numbers make you feel so inadequate that you feel the need to put others down to feel better about the position you're in, especially if you don't have the receipts to back up those claims. And even if you did, there will always be someone more successful than you, with more money than you, more fans than you, and more accolades. I think what many people don't get about being successful is that it has nothing to do with everyone else. Like, real superstars in every career field don't quantify their success in comparison to others. Like, real superstars use the success of others as a motivation to achieve greatness, but not as a qualifier or measure for their own. Like, I've learned that success has nothing to do with who's the best, who has the most of this or that. It's about being better than where you were before. Like, the only person in the world that you need to compete with is yourself. The only person that you should be working to one up is you. Like, if you have worked and put yourself in a better position than you were last year, last month, or even last week, then you are a success. But Daquon, what do you think? Like, do you think real superstars have to say they are superstars, or do they just let their work speak for itself?
Absolutely not. Like, if you are really that bitch, people are going to know that you are indeed that bitch. And so when I heard this comment, I was like, this is like Latavia being like, I was the lead vocalist of Destiny's Child. No, you weren't, girl. The receipts show it's not true. Or when Carlos Pinavega was like, oh, remember when Nickelodeon was trying to make Kendall the front person of One Time Big Time Rush? And I'm like,
yeah,
trying
very hard.
He was. Because that's the facts of the situation. And so I think a lot of, going back to Destiny's Child, when it comes down to the core members of Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, and Michelle, they are a group. They don't belittle each other to bring up their successes. Exactly. I remember I think it was like legendary when Kelly Rowland was a guest judge and one of the judges was like trying to shade Michelle. And Kelly was like, I'm not doing that. Like, nope, we're not featuring that. Because she knows that she doesn't have to put other people down in her group to know that she is a bad bitch. Because at the end of the day, all three of them are bad bitches. And they bring each other up. And I think that is true superstar quality.
Yeah.
It's not just enough to have the talent, because so many people can have the talent. It's not just enough to have the work ethic, because so many people can put in that work, put in that practice, and get to a certain level. But a true superstar is somebody who name you not only know, but you respect. It's that
Yeah.
person that brings people up around them and not just themselves. It's that person where if somebody is having a bad day, you know that you can count on them to bring you up, and they're never going to put other people down because their stardom speaks for themselves. Their work, their resume, which is real long,
Yeah.
speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I think I agree. I think that there's so many people who get the misconception that, you know, the star is the loudest person in the room. They're the one who they always put people down. They're the diva or whatever the case may be. And I think that, like you said, like with people like, you know, Kendall or Beyonce or, you know, the people who were the quote unquote breakout stars, it's like they never had to put anybody else down because they just were bad bitches. Like if I'm a
Right.
bad bitch, I don't have to tell anybody I'm bad bitch. You can see it. You can see it very clearly. Like, and I think that that's where a lot of people make that mistake, is that they have this idea in the back of their mind that in order for me to be the best, I've got to make sure everybody knows I'm the best. I have to say it out loud. And you always can tell an insecure person by how they talk about people who have helped them in their journey, because the reality is, you know, if we're not trying, I don't think that when we look at groups and we look at people in a kind of dynamic or whatever, no one person is the star. No one person is the quote unquote, this person might have had more, like I said, more accolades and more fans or whatever, but no one person is a star when it comes to a group effort, because all the parts of the mechanism make it successful. Kelly, Beyonce, Michelle, all being together made Destiny's Child. It wasn't just Beyonce's group. It wasn't Beyonce and friends. It wasn't Michelle and friends. It wasn't Kelly and friends. It was all of them together that made a united front. Just like me and Daquon, neither one of us are the quote unquote star of Melanin Margin. This is our show. Our bad bitchiness can exist in the same space at the same time.
Period.
Exactly.
And I think that's so important to remember, because at the end of the day, it is a group. People are coming to see the group, and they're coming to see everyone. And we see so many times when you have this group dynamic and somebody leaves, slowly that group starts to deteriorate because it's all about working as a unit. And if you have to come on and like knock your other, you know, your former cat or group members, then it shows how much a part of the group you really were. It shows that you are more focused on your own success than the success of the group itself.
Man, and I think too, I want to add this one other thing too, Daquon. Like, I think it's also just, why are you not taking pleasure in seeing your friends succeed? You know what I'm saying? If
Right.
y'all are in a group, if either one of us does something outside of Melanin Margin, because, you know, we have our own careers, we have our own journeys that we're doing, and I'm not gonna sit here and look at Daquan's success being like, oh girl, oh bitch, I did that, or if it wasn't for me, like none of that shit. If this show helps either one of us to get success outside of it or together, it's all success. It's all appreciated. It's all amazing. And I think that there are a lot of people who don't know how to just be happy for others. I think there's a lot of this that comes from a lot of insecurity about their own talents, because I don't need to put Daquon down to know that I'm successful. And Daquon has to put me down and know that they are successful. You know what I mean?
Right.